Look at this. How'd you get here? Here's what happens when the yellow sedum gets pushed off its moisture source and left for several days. It's still perfectly green. So this is why I love this as a ground cover. The roots don't get more than a couple inches deep. It's extremely drought hardy. There's just almost no trouble with this plant whatsoever. Great moisture retention. Whoops, my phone fell out of my chest pocket. Gets maybe about 3 inches tall in the summer. Stays green throughout the winter, at least a little bit. And you can see here the taller bits have died back, but the plant itself is still mostly green under there. Now I don't know what to do with my cell phone. So obviously it's going to fall out every time I bend over. I decided to get rid of that lamp surround that was here. Sent it out for recycling. It was just a glass old lamp that I picked up from the side of the road in the city. Someone had dumped it. We have a bit of a college slum that I work in, and many recycled materials, such as these bits of screen that are protecting the seeds from the birds so they can overwinter successfully, hopefully, are all from just walking the streets there. Back when I used to have a car, I could bring back a decent amount of useful discarded materials. There's still plenty of garlic that I've continued to collect and add to the pickled garlic project that I have inside. I'm going to have to post that. I've added more rocks. I don't think that one's sufficient. It's sunken in and not going to be visible at all when I need it the most once the yellow sedum starts sprawling. So I'm going to swap it out for one of the retainer wall pieces I picked up down the street. And this pile is great progress and needs to migrate to the burning pile. 3 days ago there were 6 more trunks and just a bit of stepping on things and pushing. And even this very large trunk came out. And you can see just how far gone the lilac truly was. It's had a bad year. The cherry, which I trimmed back all the branches on, is now also got these holes I drilled in. And I'd like to add another dose of vinegar to that. These will eventually meet the same fate as the other branches, but not having as much length for leverage, they're not coming up with as much ease. I'm sure they will eventually. The wormy loam that's left behind is amazing quality soil. There's some more cleavers. They are hard to tell the difference, aren't they? It takes a trained eye for the young ones. Now, I'm going to come out on the other side of this pile, which I do need to move, and who knows when I'll actually get to that. I'm going to loosen this. The young sweet cherry is doing well, and it's coming up into its 2nd year. Last year was its 1st year here. I am considering taking one of the tires, and because I made a mistake. See, its graft point is above ground. It's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be buried to here. So if I lift a tire and set it around the base, I can increase the soil level and also do away with this sink pot, because it will then hold the moisture when I fill up that base. It may also do a very fine job of allowing me to plant an understory of some other plants. Speaking of understory, this offshoot might be a bit low. I may need to prune again. The plant's only supposed to get a maximum of 10 feet tall, but this pruned branch already met a level of 10 foot tall this year, so I'm not sure how true that's going to be. I don't think I've harvested or pruned quite aggressively enough for my future hopes for that plant. Lots more weeding needed here. There's quite a bit of gillweed amongst those glamorous poppies many of you have seen, and I could do to lift that. These clambering bits are my permaculture radishes, which happen to be what took on a permanent basis here are I believe they were the watermelon type, where they're bright pink in the middle. Oh, there's one very confused bee. It's getting so warm. Today's 65 degrees, and it's January 21st. So I'm going to take these great big radish seeds that I'm picking out of here. Look at that. That's beautiful. And just kind of toss them over here. You can see that they take on a cascading basis. Here's one, and another. So they're just kind of hanging on for the winter. Here's another. They're everywhere. And I let many of them go so that they can continue their self-maintained presence. Well, see, here we have both chickweed and yellow sedum in this young form. It can be very hard to tell. The thin leaves and the thick succulent leaves are the primary difference. So this goes in the compost, and this, we're gonna put it right here. You can see that this is a bit of a clay soil right here, but it's alright. I've been reading Eric Toonsmeyer and Jonathan Bates' Paradise Lot book. I got it from the library, and that's the kind of book I can read in just a couple days, but then if I read it quite that quickly, I may not be out here as much as I'd like. You can see how happy but also overtaking the lady's mantle is at this point. I really would like to dig a lot of this out, because as you can see, it's covering my ability to find this asparagus plant's shoots in the spring, which I'd like to eat, but by the time they get above the leaves of the lady's mantle, they're already sending off fronds and not as good. Here we have, oh, who knows what, but probably snowdrops. The plants are very confused. I have a very dense clump of daffodils over here that are thoroughly above ground. More snowdrops. As you can see, it's quite a line of snowdrops at the front of this particular plot. They naturalize in a somewhat aggressive fashion. I am hoping that the rhubarb will end up taking. If I don't get as much rhubarb surviving as I'd hoped, I may end up getting something I did not know about, something called a perpetual rhubarb plant. I harvest mine throughout the year, but I've just learned that the oxalic acid content increases during the growing year. It starts out low and gets higher, so getting a plant that doesn't do that for the way that I use rhubarb would be better. Yeah. In here, we just have the seeds planted. In between each tire, I put in some, so like here, there, and there, each has a different type of squash seed that I'm hoping will overwinter, but if not, there's more seed. It's been so warm, they might just get eaten by something, but, I don't know. I still can't believe it's like near the end of January and it's 65 degrees out here. That's just unusual. This is Pittsburgh after all. Come spring, I'll have to give another real hard cut to my sage plant. I like seeing it bloom, but it's just not dealing well with skipping trimmings. Many of the base growth over thickens and then it just is dead. Dead. So I don't want that to make the bush succumb. I'd like to take better care of it than that. Yeah, I sit on that sometimes. Yeah. Apple and a pear. The apple outgrew its, this thing. Tree root protector, I don't know. Whatever that is. More wintercress here. The edible wintercress. I think I'm going to just bite some of these off. They really are quite tasty. This massively overgrown mess over here. I really should cut back the couple of trees that are growing in the area where I want to give my neighbors that hedge I ordered. And I need to talk to them about the fact that I got them a present. Some of this soil that I plopped in here seemed to have had weed seed. And this is why just walking around and looking at things is so beneficial. Here we have me killing off an overgrown section with dark tarps. This used to be a solar pool cover, and it was given to me. This is all hopefully strawberries that survive. I see this one did quite well. Others of them have gone fully dormant and should be fine. And I'm really enjoying the paths being the way that they are. Now that I've placed the leaves I raked up in here, I think this is going to be a good weed suppressant. This poor honeybee is so confused. It thinks I'm a flower. It is so warm, and there is so little to feed them this time of year. Yep, so this is what I do. I walk around and I pay attention. And when I see something that isn't quite right, I reach in and I fix it. And over here, that happens to be just a few very small weeds that simply don't belong. Yep. That's what we do. Oh, look. Look who's sunning himself. And we'll go take a look at the view. And that'll be it for this video. Hopefully it wasn't too shaky, but it probably is, because I walked around. Dreams underway for this cliffside. For sure. Beautiful day. Again, 65 degrees. January 21st of 2017. Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. It's like it's April. Have a pleasant winter.